Oh, sorry.
It's a grant example.
Yeah, it's like just like grant example.
Yeah, so in your handbook, there's just an example of a good grant application. So yeah, nice and simple. The ask is clear. They've given us everything we need. I mean, it's a pretty basic one and it's a simple event, but we couldn't just, it's easy. It was a good one. And again, the budget is clear, told us everything we need to know. So there's no backwards and forwardsing that I have to do before I can take that grant application to the committee. If I need to come back at you and ask you any questions, that's just going to slow down the process and your application might not make it to that grant meeting. If I have to come back and ask you questions, or if the committee has questions and we can't approve it at the meeting, that's just going to slow the process down. So again, if you're filling out the grant application and you're stuck, or you've got any questions, please reach out to me and I can help you.
Claiming grants, and then we go through like a QP. Oh,
Heaps of time.
Good.
Yeah.
Heaps of time. So claiming grants? Yeah. I don't know anything about it.
Okay, this is my goodness. So claiming your grants. I can't remember what's in, that's a pretty big.
Flow chart. Yeah.
So it's on page 64.
Yeah, so I get it right.
One thing while Ron's finding that, if there's any clubs and societies in here that want a TUSA branded banner before the end of the year, can you just shoot clubs an email and let me know if you think that you could, get a logo and some stuff together. We can probably get you a banner before the end of the year with a little bit of money that we've got left in our grant banner fund. So yeah, shoot me an email and I'll send you out some information. We can probably get one in time for Clubs and Societies Day. You'd have to act quick on it.
Okay, so for the grant claim, firstly and foremostly, you have to have had a grant application be approved and it will be approved in QPay. So keep an eye on QPay. So I'll do everything through QPay. Once it's gone through the meeting and been approved, I'll then go into QPay and send out all the grant outcomes of whether it's been approved or rejected. If it's been rejected, I'll try and give you some reasons why. I'll always attach a copy of the grant minutes relating to your grant. So you'll see an attachment in there, go in and have a look at that. And there may be conditions on how you can get the money. So yeah, just always look at that attachment to get all the information you need about your grant. So once you've got that, you can put in your grant claim. So you have to have purchased all your items first. You have to have held your event. We won't, unless at the end of the year now. But generally you have to have held your event or activity before you can claim it. There's a couple of reasons for that. One of them mainly being that if you cancel the event and we've given you the money already, we then need to try and chase you for the money. And also you have to provide all your receipts and invoices in order to get the money. And sometimes that's not available before the event. Okay, so everything's done through QPay. You'll find a link in your handbook of where to get to the grant claim form.
Make sure that when you're going through after you submit your application, your grant application form and everything's events happen, make sure that the receipts that you have actually line up with money that you've asked for in the first place. Because a lot of times there's some things that Ron can't approve simply because it wasn't there in the first place in your application.
So that comes back to making sure that when you put in your grant application that you've listed everything that you think you're going to spend money on. Because if you say you have an activity or an event and you don't apply for decorations, but in the end you end up buying decorations, if that's not within the grant approval, I can't pay that to you because that expense hasn't been approved within the grant process or within the grant cap that we put in there, say for like the $1,500. So it all crucially comes back to your application to have everything in there, because once you submit your grant claim, I go back to the grant application of what has actually been approved and what I can pay you. So something within QPay that's a little quirky is that when you upload a file for your receipts, you can only upload one file. So A couple things you can do is you have to combine them all into a PDF or within an Excel document or a Word document. But you can only upload one file. But again, if you find out that you're getting strikes and you haven't uploaded everything, you can flick me an email and just email them directly to me. Or to the club's email, it's better actually. And that goes for budget. In each spot, you can only upload one file. Does anyone have any questions? I think it's relatively straightforward what you need to do, but then I'm at the other end, so it seems straightforward to me.
I know that the University of Tasmania makes their own caps and stuff and gives them out at events. Is there a certain supplier they use so we can get in contact with something?
Not if you want to pay an arm and a leg.
Can't write that
Your
off.
test supply is very, very expensive. Do we have recommended suppliers at the moment for merch?
That's a shout.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things obviously keeping in mind is like the procurement process of your merch for the clubs and societies that are doing merch and whether it's ethical. And like where it's coming from and everything like that. That's I think, I mean, obviously some members care more about it, but I think generally as a university, I think we should care about it. Things like modern slavery, ethical procurement and everything. Obviously that comes with extra costs, but in terms of recommended suppliers, I don't think we currently have recommended suppliers.
Maybe it's something.
It's a good shout.
But also too, on that, within the grants, you can't claim anything for that within grants. That's not covered. That's to come out of your membership fees and things like that, yeah? Cool.
Unless it's a uniform, can the uniform be claimed front?
Not uniforms for like executive members, things to like for your society, if it's a sports team or things like that, yeah. Yep, well then, yeah. It's fine. As long as it's not those ones.
I was just going to say on the note of merchandise, I have actually got contact of a local supplier that does embroidery. I'd need to contact a former member who's got all the contact details, but if anyone is looking for a local, relatively ethical supplier, I do have some information. But also do not disregard making your own merchandise. Our club made our own merchandise for the first time this year, and everything was done by us. So we've ensured that everything was ethically sourced because we sourced it all ourselves. And it turned out absolutely fantastic, and the costs of it were very, very minimal compared to outsourcing as well.
One thing that might be worth doing is we've got a badge press as well that we bought for our club, but it might be nice having like a repository of people who are willing to share their resources with other clubs, societies to make merchandise potentially.
Yep, so within the last CAP grant round, we did that. There was a few people asked for badge making machines. Yeah, cool. Back to the claims, there was another bit of information that I remembered. As soon as you've bought your items or as soon as your event has been held, get your claim in. I will come to a point after a few rounds have been held of the claim of the application rounds, and I haven't heard back from you. I will start imposing timelines of when you can get those claims in, and then when you'll start losing the money because the money will go back in the pot. So yeah, like a revolving pot. If you don't need the funds, then it goes back into someone else to use it. Also, if you're going to underclaim, like if we've given you $1,500 cap and you've only used 1,000. The sooner you can let us know that, the better. The $500 can go back in for someone else to use.
And that's probably one of the most outstanding things as someone that sits on the grants committee is how many clubs forget to claim their grants. It's like you've done all the work to get the money. It's sitting there and you've just got to request it. And that's the amount of clubs that just forget to do that final step of actually claiming the money at the final stage is outstanding.
And also, if you find that you actually don't want that claim, that grant anymore, let us know. So again, that can be used for someone else, because we get to the end of the year and we have all this money that we're trying to give back to you guys.
And I think that's the biggest point of this session today is we want you guys to ask us for more money. We have $130,000 there. We never get asked enough. Clubs are under asking us, so ask us for more money. Right, like there's a lot of these events and things that you're running. And we're going to do a little bit of an activity in a second around it that you could be getting more grants for, and clubs are just not asking the question. It sounds like Launceston may have a question.
Yes, Yes, the question was relating to the comments that went back before you and Bron were talking. And the person mentioned the fact that they had done the ethically sourced merchandise. And the question that I wanted to ask was based around that in Rubric, can we actually put up the merchandise that we have, or does it have to be? Because when I tried to put the merchandise, for example, the artwork that we have, I was unable to do that. And so I was wondering if the person that had got the ethically sourced merchandise, if they'd actually put it through the merch store in Rubric.
Answer is coming. So the supplier that we have actually haven't been able to finalize putting order to them specifically. But the merchandise that we have sold this year was the merchandise that we have actually produced ourselves. And that was put on through QPay Rubric. However, the vast majority of our sales were in person, so I can't speak too much to the online process. However, it was really good having our merchandise up for people to see, because we had a couple of people come to us and say, hey, saw this on Rubric, love to purchase one of these guys from you.
Well, that's great to hear, because then I go back, because it was when it was on QPay and we couldn't seem to do anything. When I tried to put it down, it said, oh, it doesn't matter what it said anyway. But now I will try in Rubric and see if we can put some of our artwork up. But thank you very much for that information.
And that's probably a good point as well, because obviously QPay has charges and stuff for selling merch. Even using it just as a catalog and then getting students to either order separately through social media or doing it in person, so you can avoid those fees, could also be a good thing to do as well, to keep in mind. Cool. So on page 58, we do have a grant application form from QPay. QPay, our favourite thing that we all love dealing with through clubs and societies. So tomorrow afternoon, as I mentioned, we're going to be doing the Shark Tank thing. So we've got a bit of time now that we're going to kind of give you guys to start brainstorming around. It could be initiatives that happened this year that you guys didn't ask for money for, and you're like, well, looking at this flowchart, we should have been asking for this and this and this. Or for next year, new initiatives that you want. What could you ask for money for? Start getting your brain thinking so you can come steal our money for next year. So if you guys want to like chat within the room, online, we'll mute so you guys can chat online as well. And
Originally it was
we'll turn off your output so we can't hear with them.